All right, this is the Okamoto 1224 EX CNC grinder, serial number 330291994. It's got the Fanuc Okamoto EX over-the-wheel dresser, electromagnetic chuck and nutrifier, and a coolant filtration system.
Which we can see right, which is in view of your camera right now. We got the front end, like you see the control up front. We'll take a walk through it and just kind of throw out a few. We got the saddle clamp down here, self-explanatory coolant system down through here with documentation on top of the coolant system. And while you're looking at that, you're also looking at your hydraulic motor on the outside here. Coming around the back side here, not all the coolant's hooked up, but that does go to the coolant system. Main spindle motor up here. And we've got the axis motor down here, column. That would be Y. And coming around on this end, got the chuck cord coming down through here where it's plugged in. Chuck works fine. Can't show it, but it works. And down here, the control panel. So, kind of take a look at it. We're fired up. I'm home. The CPU is in a ready state, of course. You see the relay lights, I/O board. And this, of course, is for the magnetic chuck, nutrifier. I think that's it right there. So, it's all humming along. We'll close this up, and we'll go with hydraulics. You can't do anything on this machine without hydraulics, but here's the main control panel. And briefly put, there's 3 pages on this. It's the work data, on which you can see axes moving. And then you got the page for data table and chuck size position, air cut amount, reverse position, front, rear. All of those coincide with all these buttons on the right-hand side here. So that's what all of these do. Don't need to play with them right now. I made a few basic settings just to get a traverse cycle and a plunge cycle going today. Other than that, our hard, wait, 3rd page, there's one more, yeah. So now it's dressing condition. We're taking off 1,000, as you can see, on the interval amount, because we're dressing on the interval when we flip from rough to fine. And then 1/10 on the in-feed amount of standard dress. So that, I'm gonna leave all that alone too, of course. As I started to say, chuck position, dress position, these teach buttons are important. We're gonna play with those right now and set up a little traverse cycle by using these. We'll do some manual movement of the axis, and this is hydraulic pump, grinding wheel. We can run those right away, and then we'll play with the rest of the board because that all has to do with auto cycle. So here's hydraulic pump on. No, it isn't. I should turn off e-stop. That would help. Let's try this. And I still got the cycle complete from when I played with it a few minutes ago, but we should get oil now. And with oil on, in the manual mode, I can just turn the table on, which is all right here. Direction and table speed is right here. I'm just going to flip over to manual, which puts my pulse generators in a manual mode. I can do table first, that's the easiest one to do. Give it a direction, let it load up. I'm playing with the speed control right now. That's me. I've got it set real tight so that we can traverse and come into an auto cycle quickly without waiting all day. But we could just spread these things out and get the full length of the chuck, but I won't do that now. And there's your speed control here. Or faster. That all works good. Leave that maybe right about there. And if we shut it off, that shuts off the table right there. Then we can go over to handle, of course, and do whatever we want to do. So, turn it back on. Let it go. Let it fun. Make sure I'm still between the magnets, the proc switches, which we are. So that's good. And I hit table right. It should go park itself in the cycle position. Right here. Let's see if it goes back. I'm still recipping. I'll take it all the way home. So that's, in fact, that's where I have to do the setup anyhow, is in the home position. That's that. So with oil on, we'll do the grinding wheel right away. That's on. Got a diamond wheel on there. And while we're at it, this is the dresser feed. It all works up and down. You just can't see it because the nib is way up inside there. but it does speed up and down, and you'll see it on the auto cycle. It'll take it down 1,000 and comp. It'll comp the program nicely. It all works good. So that's that. Shut down the grinding wheel just so we can run the hydraulics and get a cycle here, so I don't have to talk over it. That's winding down. And let's see, so we got table, we can move in manual, we can move the feed. Let's get out of this page, look at the feedback. There's my Y, which is the column, and go to X10, the multiplier. That goes up and down off the pulse generator. Or if I flip over to rapid, which is right here, I can use the rapid dial, the push buttons. Wrap it up, wrap it down. And same thing down here, if I go over to ZX and flip it on, I can play around up in here too, as you can kind of see it moving right there. That all works pretty good. What we're going to do right now then is, in fact, I'm going to run this back. I'm going to set up the rear and front position off the control here. And what is it, 5? Let's put it at 5. I'm going to call this rear. It's just this simple really on this one. I'm going to get it right around -5 and call that rear position. Now here's Travis position rear, and it just changed over to that number. It just teaches itself. I'm going to move over 1 inch now, come forward. Whoop, wrong way, sorry. Let's go to 6, be 1 inch on here, give or take, and call that front. I'm going to teach. So that's teach. Now it knows on the ZX the 1 inch from 5 to 6. All that's left now is to tell it how far down to go. I can put my spindle anywhere. I'm just going to leave it where it's at. And total stock removal is the next button I want to do here. I turn that on, move over to edit, I think. Yeah, there's edit, and it'll let me input. We'll do traverse first. I'm going to do 6,000. So I said, so we don't stand here all day. So 0.006 for. Did I not get that? I missed that. For total stock removal, let's input that. Boom, that should be it. I'm calling for 1 dress, fine, and an initial dress. So we're going to get an initial dress, light comes on. Then when we go from rough to fine feed, we'll get 1 more dress of 1,000, and that's it. So that's all set up in here. These 4 dials is how much I want to go in fine, how fast I want to go in coarse. And they're all in tenths, so I'm feeding 10 tenths in coarse, 10 tenths in fine, just to, like, again, just to keep it moving. It's going to start at 1,000. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to transition at 1,000, and we're going to go 5 tenths per fine feed pass. So it'll only go a couple of times. That said, we should be good to go. Let's go into auto. If I got it all right, let's turn that off so we get auto on Z. I'll hit cycle start here. And we can kind of watch the numbers. I'll run 2 cycles maybe, see where we're at. And just so you know, down below here, these are the coarse and fine settings for the dresser. I've got them kind of set up in a good position there. And that's just a hydraulic flow control valve for what you don't see happening up underneath here. I'm going to hit cycle start. Let's see if we got a cycle. We should be good to go here, I think. If I'm in auto, or 1025. Is, let me think what alarm that is. I'm missing something here. We're all the way over. We gave it a cycle. Oh, I'm in plunge. Let me get in traverse. It might have been this guy right here. I forgot I flipped it over. Let's see if we still got it now. That sounds better. Should come up. There she goes. Had to do the math. Yeah, I left it in plunge. Now we can kind of play with things on the fly. We're going to move to 1 inch. We're already down to 5,000s. I can slow this down. That's barely moving now. You see moving on Z over here. Or we can bring it up. We're on blocks. It's going to jerk around a little bit, but you get the idea. Or same thing again, if we could slow this down on the table, and Y stays the same off of this speed dial here, see? Again, we're at 4,000s. When we hit 1, we're going to transition and we're going to dress. Let's bring the table back up a little bit. Slow that down maybe just a touch. There's 3,000s. That all works really nice. One more 1,000 to go, and then I should get a dress light here, and it does a dress. I think it goes all the way home. Yeah, there it is. It's gonna go home for a dress. My light is on. You can't see it, but it's up inside there. When this light goes off, the dress is finished, and you see it comp. It's gonna comp to the 1, and then we're gonna transition to fine dress now. I'm sorry, fine feed. 1,000. That's what I'm calling for on the board here at 1,000. Took off 5 tenths. It's gonna take off 5 more tenths right there. Now we're done. I don't have a spark out on here, so it's just gonna go home. Same thing, one more time, straight on
Do
through.
it other cycle.
You just wanna go to the plunge now? Well, the plunge, if I go to plunge now, the only difference is on teach, it stays the same. So I'm just gonna hit teach rear, in plunge, edit, I think maybe, let me get off the auto cycle. There's teach reverse, teach front. If both of those numbers need to be the same naturally, because we don't want to move Z. That said, the only thing I have left to do again is total stock removable, and because it's plunge, let's make it maybe 20 thousandths and let it come down. Point. There we go. Let's try that. If I got this right, input. It's home. I should be able to. We're going to feed on both sides, by the way, for what it's worth. You can feed on one side. Go over to auto. Let's see if it took all of that. Let's see if we get a plunge cycle here. There's the go. It's loading up. There she goes. So we won't have this. And now it's dropping down. There's your plunge. 13. We started off at 20. I think I still have the dress. I think the dress cycle will still come into effect. It might dress at 1,000. Let's see. I think that all holds the same. I haven't changed anything. A few more thousands to go. Let's see if the light comes on. It'll go home too. There it is. So it's going home. There's the dress. It's calling for it. We're going to get our 1,000th dress and go in and clean up, and it'll comp the 1 right here. It'll go back to the 1, but it's comped already. Done. There it is. 5 at a time. Yep, that all stays the same. So finish that off. No spark outs. It'll go home. Cycle complete right here on the yellow light, and that's pretty much it. We're ready for the next cycle. I know we glossed over a lot on this, but there's a lot to talk about here. It's a nice running machine. It really is. So. Let me shut this thing down. Hydraulics off. And there she is.